Close your eyes and let yourself drift into the gentle twilight between waking and dreaming, where the veil grows thin and ancient stories whisper through the darkness. Tonight, we explore the realm of spirits, not with fear, but with curiosity and wonder. Take a deep breath, and let us begin our peaceful journey into the world of ghosts. The word ghost comes from the Old English word ghast, which simply means spirit or breath. In many cultures, the connection between breath and spirit runs deep, for breath is the essence of life itself. As you breathe slowly now, you join an ancient understanding that breath connects the physical and spiritual worlds. Let your body relax as we consider that approximately 45% of people in the United States believe in ghosts, according to surveys conducted over the past decade. You are not alone in your curiosity about what lies beyond. This belief spans all ages, cultures, and backgrounds, a shared human wonder about what comes after. The ancient Egyptians believed in the Ka, a spiritual double that lived on after death. They mummified bodies to preserve the physical form so the Ka would have a home to return to. This belief in a spiritual essence that persists beyond death is one of humanity's oldest ideas, dating back over 5,000 years. Settle deeper into comfort as we travel to ancient Rome, where the playwright Pliny the Younger wrote one of the first documented ghost stories in 100 CE. He described a haunted house in Athens where a ghostly old man rattled chains at night. Even then, people tried to understand and document encounters with the unexplained. In Japanese tradition, ghosts are called eerie, spirits who have not found peace due to powerful emotions or unfinished business. Unlike Western ghosts, eerie are often depicted wearing white burial kimonos and having long, disheveled black hair. Each culture shapes its understanding of spirits through its own lens. Let your breathing slow as you learn that the word poltergeist comes from German, meaning noisy ghost. These spirits are said to make their presence known through sounds and moving objects. The term was first used in the early 19th century to describe unexplained disturbances in households. Paranormal researchers classify hauntings into two main types, residual and intelligent. Residual hauntings are like recordings, where spirits replay the same actions without awareness of the living. Intelligent hauntings involve spirits that can interact and respond to the present moment. This distinction helps us understand different types of experiences people report. Close your eyes more gently as we consider that the most commonly reported ghost sighting is of a deceased loved one appearing shortly after their death. These encounters often bring comfort rather than fear, described as peaceful visits to say goodbye or offer reassurance. Many people report feeling warmth and love during these experiences. The tradition of wearing white sheets as a ghost costume comes from 19th century burial practices, when bodies were wrapped in white burial shrouds. This simple image became the iconic representation of ghosts in Western culture, though real ghost encounters rarely match this stereotype. Let yourself drift as we explore how temperature drops are one of the most reported phenomena in alleged hauntings. People describe sudden cold spots in rooms, even when heating systems work properly. Paranormal investigators theorize that spirits might draw energy from their surroundings, creating these temperature changes. The stone tape theory, proposed in the 1970s, suggests that traumatic or emotional events can somehow be recorded into the physical environment, particularly in stone and other materials. Like a tape recording, these events might replay under certain conditions, explaining residual hauntings without requiring conscious spirits. Sink deeper into your pillow as you learn that orbs, those circular spots of light that appear in photographs, are usually explained by dust, moisture, or insects reflecting camera flash. However, Before digital photography made orbs common, many cultures reported seeing mysterious floating lights they attributed to spirits. The haunting of the Tower of London is one of the most documented in history, with sightings recorded for over 900 years. The ghost of Anne Boleyn, executed in 1536, is said to walk the grounds carrying her head. Whether spirits or stories, these tales connect us to history in visceral ways. Relax completely as we remember that infrasound, sound waves below the frequency humans can consciously hear, can cause feelings of unease, anxiety, and even visual hallucinations. Some researchers suggest that naturally occurring infrasound in old buildings might explain some ghost experiences, as our bodies sense what our ears cannot hear. And finally, as you prepare to drift deeper into this journey, consider that the electromagnetic field theory suggests that unusual electromagnetic fields might affect the human brain, particularly the temporal lobe, causing hallucinations and the sense of a presence. This scientific approach doesn't dismiss experiences, but rather explores how our brains might perceive unseen phenomena. The boundary between the physical and spiritual may be more complex than we imagine. Rest now as we travel through mist and memory to the places where the past refuses to fade, where countless witnesses have reported encounters that defy simple explanation. The Winchester Mystery House in California was built continuously for 38 years by Sarah Winchester, widow of the rifle magnate. She believed she was haunted by the spirits of those killed by Winchester rifles and built the sprawling mansion with stairs leading to nowhere and doors opening to walls, attempting to confuse the ghosts. The construction only stopped when she died in 1922. Let your muscles release their tension as we visit the Stanley Hotel in Colorado, which inspired Stephen King's novel The Shining. Guests and staff have reported piano music playing by itself, children laughing in empty hallways, and the ghost of the hotel's original owner, F.O. Stanley, appearing in the lobby and billiard room. The RMS Queen Mary, now permanently docked in Long Beach, California, is considered one of the most haunted ships in the world. During her service, she transported soldiers during World War II and later served as a luxury liner. Visitors report encountering sailors in outdated uniforms, hearing voices in empty corridors, and feeling unseen hands touching them near the ship's pool. Breathe gently as we consider the island of Poveglia near Venice, Italy. Used as a quarantine station during the plague and later as a mental asylum, the island is said to be so haunted that locals refuse to visit it. Soil samples from the island reportedly contain high levels of human ash, as thousands of plague victims were burned there. The Myrtles Plantation in Louisiana is built on land that was once a Native American burial ground. The most famous ghost is Chloe, a slave who allegedly poisoned members of the family. Visitors report seeing her in a green turban and photographs in mirrors, and the plantation has documented over 12 ghosts. Let yourself sink deeper as we remember Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia, which operated from 1829 to 1971. The prison pioneered solitary confinement, driving many inmates to madness. Guards and visitors report shadowy figures, cackling, and the feeling of being watched. Cell Block 12 is considered the most active area. The ancient Ramen in England, dating back to 1145, was built on an ancient pagan burial ground. It served as a priest's residence and later an inn. Reports include children crying, heavy footsteps, objects moving on their own, and the presence of a demonic entity. Many paranormal investigators consider it one of the most haunted buildings in Britain. Close your eyes more softly as we visit the Aokigahara Forest in Japan, also known as the Sea of Trees. Located at the base of Mount Fuji, this dense forest has become associated with death and spirits. Visitors report compasses malfunctioning, an eerie silence where birdsong should be, and the sensation of being followed. Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Kentucky was a tuberculosis hospital in the early 20th century, where an estimated 64,000 people died. The body chute, a tunnel used to discreetly remove bodies, is considered especially haunted. People report shadow figures, disembodied voices, and the ghost of a nurse who died by suicide. Relax your jaw and shoulders as we consider the Edinburgh Vaults in Scotland, a series of underground chambers built in the 18th century. Once used by businesses and later becoming slums and reportedly centers for illegal activity, the vaults are now known for intense paranormal activity. Visitors report being touched, pushed, and feeling overwhelming emotions. Bangor Fort in India is so notorious that the Archaeological Survey of India has forbidden entry after sunset. Legend tells of a curse placed on the fort by a sorcerer whose advances were rejected by a princess. The entire town was abandoned, and locals believe the spirits of the residents remain trapped there. Let your breathing deepen as we remember the Château de Brissac in France, home to the Green Lady, the ghost of Charlotte de Brise, who was murdered by her husband in the 15th century after he discovered her affair. Her ghost, dressed in green, is seen in the tower room where she died, and visitors report hearing her moans echoing through the castle. The island of the dolls near Mexico City is covered with hundreds of mutilated dolls hanging from trees. The island's caretaker began hanging dolls to appease the spirit of a girl who drowned nearby. Visitors claim the dolls' eyes follow them, whisper to each other, and move when no one is watching. Breathe slowly as we visit Bran Castle in Romania, associated with Vlad the Impaler and the legend of Dracula. Beyond the vampire mythology, visitors report cold spots, the sensation of being watched, and apparitions in medieval clothing moving through the stone corridors. And as this section draws to a close, consider the Bell Witch haunting in Tennessee, which occurred between 1817 and 1821. The Bell family was tormented by an entity that could speak, predict the future, and physically attack family members. Even Andrew Jackson, future president, reportedly encountered the witch and fled the property. This case remains one of America's most documented hauntings, witnessed by hundreds of people. Let yourself float now across oceans and continents, to cultures where spirits are not strangers but neighbors, woven into daily life like threads in ancient tapestries. In Mexican tradition, the Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos, celebrates rather than fears the dead. Families believe that on November 1st and 2nd, the spirits of deceased loved ones return to visit. They create elaborate altars with photographs, favorite foods, marigolds, and candles to welcome these spirits home. This tradition reflects a belief that death is not an ending but a transformation. Rest peacefully as we travel to Ireland, where banshees are female spirits whose mournful wailing foretells death in certain families. The word comes from the Irish bean sea, meaning woman of the fairy mound. Rather than being malevolent, banshees were traditionally seen as mourners, deeply connected to specific family lineages through generations. In Thailand, Phi refers to various types of spirits that inhabit the world alongside the living. Spirit houses, small ornate structures, are placed outside homes and businesses to provide shelter for protective spirits. People make offerings of food, incense, and flowers to maintain harmony with these entities. This practice shows how some cultures integrate spiritual presence into everyday architecture. Let your body become weightless as we consider the Scottish tradition of the Grey Lady, a type of ghost often seen in castles and manor houses. Unlike malevolent spirits, Grey Ladies are usually benign presences, often believed to be former residents who remain attached to their homes. They appear as translucent figures in gray dresses, quietly observing but rarely interacting. Chinese tradition speaks of hungry ghosts, spirits of those who died without proper burial rites or who suffered greatly in life. During the Hungry Ghost Festival in the 7th lunar month, people make offerings of food and burn paper money to provide for these wandering spirits. This month-long observance reflects beliefs about the responsibility the living have toward the dead. Breathe gently as we journey to the Philippines, where the White Lady is a common ghost story. These spirits are said to be women who died tragically, often appearing along roads at night. Unlike Western ghost stories meant to frighten, these tales often carry moral lessons about respect, justice, and the consequences of wrongdoing. In Scandinavian folklore, draugr are undead beings who guard their burial mounds and treasures. These spirits possess superhuman strength and can increase their size at will. Vikings believed that proper burial rites and honoring the dead would prevent them from becoming draugr, emphasizing the importance of ritual and managing the boundary between life and death. Let yourself sink deeper as we explore Hawaiian beliefs in Akualapu, wandering spirits of those who died but did not fully pass on. Hawaiians practice respectful behavior at sacred sites and ancient burial grounds to avoid disturbing these spirits. The concept of aumakua, family guardian spirits, represents a more positive relationship with ancestral presence. Korean tradition includes dakibi, mischievous spirits that are neither good nor evil but simply playful. Unlike ghosts of the dead, dakibi are nature spirits that can bring good fortune or trouble depending on how they're treated. They enjoy wrestling and making bets with humans, reflecting a more whimsical understanding of the spiritual realm. Close your eyes softly as we remember the Aboriginal Australian concept of the dreamtime, where the spiritual and physical worlds are inseparably connected. Ancestral spirits are believed to exist in the landscape itself, in rocks, water, and trees. This worldview sees spirits not as separate entities but as fundamental aspects of the living world. In Slavic tradition, domovoi are house spirits that protect the home and family. These entities are believed to be the spirits of the home's first owner or founder. Families leave offerings of bread and salt for their domovoi, and moving to a new house requires inviting the domovoi to come along. This shows a tradition of cooperation between living and spiritual inhabitants. Let your breathing slow as we visit West African traditions, where ancestors play an active role in the lives of their descendants. Rather than being distant or frightening, ancestral spirits are consulted for guidance, wisdom, and protection. Libations and offerings maintain this relationship, treating the dead as honored elders who continue to care for their families. In Tibetan Buddhism, the bardo is the intermediate state between death and rebirth, lasting up to 49 days. During this time, consciousness experiences various visions and encounters. The living perform rituals and read the Bardo Thodol, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, to guide the consciousness toward favorable rebirth. This represents a detailed map of the journey after death. Relax completely as we consider Native American traditions, which vary widely among tribes but often include beliefs in spirits connected to nature, ancestors, and the land itself. Many tribes view certain locations as spiritually charged, where the boundary between worlds is thinner. Respect for these places and the spirits within them is paramount. And as we conclude this journey around the world, rest in the knowledge that nearly every human culture has developed beliefs about spirits and the afterlife. Whether these entities exist objectively or as powerful expressions of human consciousness, they reveal our universal desire to believe that love, memory, and essence persist beyond physical death. The diversity of these beliefs shows both the commonality of human experience and the beautiful variety of how we make meaning from mystery. Breathe slowly now as we turn to those who seek evidence, who venture into darkness with equipment and courage, attempting to document what others only whisper about. The field of paranormal investigation gained legitimacy through Harry Price, a British psychic researcher in the early 20th century. He investigated the Borley Rectory, dubbed the most haunted house in England, using systematic methods including photography, temperature readings, and detailed witness interviews. His work established protocols still used by investigators today. Let yourself drift as we learn about the electromagnetic field detector, or EMF meter, one of the most common tools in ghost hunting. These devices measure electromagnetic fields, which some theorists believe spirits manipulate to manifest. Sudden spikes in EMF readings in locations with no electrical sources are considered potentially paranormal, though skeptics note many natural causes for electromagnetic fluctuations. Ed and Lorraine Warren were perhaps the most famous paranormal investigators of the 20th century. They investigated thousands of cases over 50 years, including the Amityville Horror and the case that inspired the Conjuring films. Lorraine claimed to be clairvoyant, while Ed was a demonologist. Their work brought paranormal investigation into popular consciousness, though their methods and conclusions remain debated. Sink deeper into your pillow as we consider electronic voice phenomena, or EVP. This involves recording in allegedly haunted locations and listening back for voices or sounds not heard during recording. Investigators ask questions aloud and leave pauses for responses. While skeptics attribute EVP to radio interference or pareidolia, the human tendency to find patterns in random noise, believers point to seemingly intelligent responses to specific questions. The spirit box, a device that rapidly scans radio frequencies, is controversial even among paranormal investigators. The theory suggests spirits can manipulate these frequency fragments to form words and phrases. Sessions with spirit boxes can be unsettling, with what sound like voices emerging from white noise. Critics argue the human brain naturally finds meaning in random sounds, especially when primed to hear communication. Let your breathing deepen as we explore thermal imaging cameras, which detect heat signatures invisible to the naked eye. Cold spots, areas of unexplained temperature drop, are commonly associated with paranormal activity. These cameras can visualize temperature anomalies, providing data beyond subjective feelings. However, drafts, poor insulation, and other mundane causes must be eliminated before concluding paranormal involvement. The practice of lights-out investigation, conducting searches in complete darkness, became popular through television shows. The reasoning is that entities might be more active without competing energy from artificial light, and investigators' eyes can better adjust to detect subtle visual phenomena. However, darkness also amplifies fear and imagination, potentially creating false positives. Close your eyes gently as we remember the Paranormal Research Society, founded in 1990 by college students who would become the stars of Paranormal State. They emphasized helping people experiencing haunting rather than just collecting evidence, combining investigation with psychological support and, when requested, spiritual intervention. This approach recognized the human element in paranormal experiences. Full-spectrum cameras capture light beyond normal human vision, including ultraviolet and infrared. Some investigators believe spirits might be visible in these spectrums even when invisible to the naked eye. Photographs from these cameras sometimes show anomalies, mists, or shapes in empty spaces, though dust, moisture, and camera artifacts remain more likely explanations. Relax your shoulders as we consider the K2 meter, a simple electromagnetic field detector that lights up when detecting EMF spikes. Investigators use it for yes or no communication, asking spirits to light up the device once for yes, twice for no. While this provides dramatic moments, critics note that cell phones, electrical wiring, and radio frequencies can trigger false readings. The practice of baseline sweeps involves investigators documenting normal readings throughout a location before investigating. They measure EMF levels, temperature, and sound, creating a baseline to compare against later anomalies. This scientific approach attempts to distinguish paranormal activity from environmental factors, though perfect control conditions are nearly impossible in old buildings. Let yourself float as we learn about skeptical investigators, like Joe Nickell, who approach alleged hauntings seeking natural explanations. These investigators have exposed frauds, identified psychological factors, and found mundane causes for seemingly paranormal events. Their work is crucial for credibility, helping distinguish genuine mysteries from misunderstandings or deception. Overnight investigations, spending entire nights in haunted locations, have become standard practice. The theory holds that activity might increase during hours when locations are typically empty, An extended time allows more opportunity for documentation. However, fatigue, sensory deprivation, and the power of suggestion become stronger as night progresses, potentially creating false experiences. Breathe slowly as we consider the ethics of paranormal investigation. Responsible investigators obtain permission, respect property and privacy, avoid sensationalism, and prioritize the well-being of those reporting experiences. The field struggles with credibility partly due to those who prioritize entertainment over truth or who exploit frightened people. And as we conclude this section, rest knowing that whether paranormal investigators capture genuine evidence of spirits or document the powerful intersection of psychology, environment, and belief, they serve an important role. They take seriously the experiences of those who encounter the unexplained, seeking understanding rather than dismissal. In the darkness, with their equipment and questions, they honor the human need to explore mystery, even when answers remain elusive. Let your mind drift now into the realm where science and spirit meet, where researchers seek rational explanations for experiences that feel anything but rational. Sleep paralysis affects about 8% of people at some point in their lives. During this state, you're conscious but temporarily unable to move or speak, often accompanied by a sense of dread and the feeling of a presence in the room. Many ghost encounters, especially those involving a figure standing over a bed, may actually be sleep paralysis episodes. The brain is partially awake while the body remains in sleep paralysis, creating vivid hallucinations. Breathe gently as we explore carbon monoxide poisoning, which can cause hallucinations, feelings of dread, and the sensation of being watched. This odorless gas can build up in poorly ventilated old buildings with aging heating systems. In several famous cases, alleged hauntings were resolved by repairing gas leaks or improving ventilation. The victims often had no idea they were being poisoned. Pareidolia is the psychological phenomenon where the brain perceives familiar patterns, especially faces, in random stimuli. This evolutionary trait, which helped our ancestors quickly identify threats and recognize allies, makes us see faces in clouds, toast, and shadows. Many ghost photographs and sightings can be explained by pareidolia, our brains creating meaning from visual noise. Let yourself sink as we consider the power of suggestion and expectation. Studies show that when people are told a location is haunted, they're significantly more likely to report unusual experiences, even in completely ordinary buildings. The brain, primed to notice the unusual, begins interpreting normal creaks, shadows, and sensations as paranormal. Context shapes perception more than we realize. The ideomotor effect explains how people can move objects like Ouija board planchettes without conscious awareness. Subtle, unconscious muscle movements guide the pointer, creating the illusion of external force. Participants genuinely believe they're not moving it, because the movements are below conscious control. This phenomenon demonstrates how we can unknowingly create the very evidence we seek. Close your eyes softly as we learn about the McGurk effect and multisensory integration. Our perception is a construction, combining input from all senses and filling gaps with expectation. In darkness and fear, with limited information, our brains construct explanations. The mind creates a coherent experience from fragments, sometimes fabricating details that weren't actually perceived. Temporal lobe sensitivity and seizures can cause intense spiritual experiences, out-of-body sensations, and perceptions of presences. Some researchers, like Michael Persinger, have induced sensed presence experiences in laboratory settings using magnetic fields to stimulate specific brain regions. This suggests that at least some ghost encounters might originate in neurological activity. Relax completely as we consider quantum theories about consciousness. Some physicists have speculated that if consciousness is quantum in nature, it might not fully dissipate at death. While these theories are highly controversial and unproven, they represent attempts to bridge scientific understanding with paranormal experiences. The intersection of quantum mechanics and consciousness remains one of science's greatest mysteries. The haunted feeling of old buildings often has prosaic explanations. Old structures settle, creating unexpected sounds. Drafts move through cracks and gaps, creating cold spots and moving curtains. Pipes expand and contract with temperature changes. Rats and other animals live in walls. Mold can cause neurological effects. Layer these normal occurrences with poor lighting and cultural expectations, and the experience of haunting emerges. Let your breathing deepen as we explore grief hallucinations, experienced by up to 60% of bereaved people. Widows see their deceased husbands. Parents hear their lost children. These vivid experiences feel completely real and bring comfort. They demonstrate how powerfully the brain can create presence from absence, perhaps explaining many peaceful encounters with deceased loved ones. The psychology of belief affects what we perceive. Studies show that believers in the paranormal detect more anomalies in recordings and photographs than skeptics viewing identical material. This doesn't mean believers are wrong or skeptics are right, rather, it shows how deeply our frameworks of understanding influence interpretation. Two people can experience the same event completely differently. Breathe slowly as we consider mirror gazing in low light, which can induce altered states of consciousness. Staring at your reflection in dim conditions can cause your face to appear distorted or transform into other faces, including monstrous or deceased faces. This demonstrates how easily perception can be altered, possibly explaining bathroom mirror ghost encounters. The startle response, managed by the amygdala, can be triggered by subtle environmental cues before conscious awareness. You might feel sudden fear or sense a presence before knowing why. Later, the conscious mind constructs an explanation, perhaps a ghost, for an alarm that actually came from subconscious detection of a subtle sound or movement. Fear comes first, the ghost story follows. Let yourself float as we learn about the power of ritual and belief. Anthropologists have documented how ghost sightings increase in cultures that emphasize ancestor veneration or spirit presence. This doesn't necessarily prove ghosts don't exist, rather, it shows that culture provides language and framework for interpreting ambiguous experiences. What one culture interprets as a ghost, another might interpret as a natural phenomenon or divine message. And as we conclude this scientific exploration, rest in the understanding that explaining potential mechanisms for ghost experiences doesn't invalidate them. Whether ghosts are external entities or internal experiences, they're real to those who encounter them. Science offers possible explanations, not definitive answers. The mystery remains, nestled in the gap between what we can measure and what we experience. Breathe peacefully now as we explore the countless ways humans have sought to protect themselves from unwanted spiritual attention, rituals passed down through generations like precious heirlooms. Salt has been used for protection against spirits across cultures for thousands of years. In Japanese tradition, salt purifies and keeps away evil spirits. In Western folklore, a line of salt across doorways prevents ghosts from entering. This belief may stem from salt's preservative properties, its value throughout history, or its use in religious ceremonies. Creating a protective boundary with salt is one of humanity's most widespread spiritual practices. Let your body relax as we learn about iron, believed in Celtic tradition to repel fairies and spirits. Horseshoes hung over doors, iron nails driven into doorways, and iron implements kept near beds were all common protections. The magnetic properties of iron or its association with fire and transformation might explain its protective reputation. Even today, some people place iron objects in allegedly haunted spaces. Holy water, blessed by religious authorities, is used in Christianity to bless homes and repel negative entities. The practice comes from ancient Jewish purification rituals and was adopted by early Christians. Whether its power comes from faith, ritual, or the water itself, countless people report feeling safer after a home blessing with holy water. Sink deeper into comfort as we consider the evil eye, a curse believed to be cast by a malevolent glare. Protection includes wearing amulets, often blue eyes made of glass, particularly common in Mediterranean and Middle Eastern cultures. The Nazar Boncugu in Turkey, the Mati in Greece, and similar charms worldwide serve as shields, redirecting the negative gaze back to its source. Smudging with sage, cedar, or sweetgrass is a Native American practice adopted widely for spiritual cleansing. The smoke is believed to carry prayers and clear negative energy, including unwanted spirits. The ritual involves lighting the herbs and wafting smoke throughout spaces while setting intentions. Many people report feeling lighter and calmer after smudging, whether from spiritual cleansing or the meditative nature of ritual. Let your breathing slow as we explore the use of mirrors in feng shui. Mirrors can redirect energy and, in some traditions, trap spirits. The practice of covering mirrors when someone dies appears in Jewish and other traditions, based on beliefs that souls might become trapped in reflections or that mirrors might be portals. Some people still cover mirrors in allegedly haunted rooms. Bells have been used to ward off spirits across many cultures. Church bells, wind chimes, and small bells worn as jewelry all serve protective functions. The sound is believed to break up negative energy and announce presence, preventing surprise by spirits. In Buddhist tradition, bells are rung to mark transitions and clear space before meditation. Close your eyes gently as we remember protective prayers and mantras. The Lord's Prayer in Christianity, the Ayat al-Kursi in Islam, and various mantras in Hinduism and Buddhism are recited for protection. The power might come from divine intervention, the focusing effect of repeated words, or the comfort of familiar ritual. Many people report that sincere prayer makes them feel surrounded by protection. Rowan trees, particularly in Celtic tradition, were planted near homes to protect against witchcraft and spirits. Crosses made from rowan wood tied with red thread were powerful talismans. The tree's bright red berries and white flowers gave it sacred significance. Even today, some people keep rowan wood in their homes for spiritual protection. Relax your jaw as we learn about protection circles. Whether cast by Wiccans, ceremonial magicians, or simply drawn for psychological comfort, circles represent bounded sacred space. Standing or sitting within a circle creates a barrier, inside which the practitioner feels safe to conduct spiritual work. The circle's power comes from intention, belief, and the human need for defined boundaries. Garlic's protective reputation extends beyond vampires to general spiritual protection. Hanging garlic braids, placing cloves in windows, or wearing garlic is common in Mediterranean and Eastern European traditions. Garlic's strong smell and antibacterial properties may have contributed to its protective associations, conflating physical and spiritual well-being. Let yourself drift as we consider threshold charms. Horseshoes, blessed herbs above doorways, mezuzahs in Jewish homes, and rangoli designs in Hindu tradition all protect entrances. Thresholds are liminal spaces, neither inside nor outside, where spiritual protection is especially important. These charms announce the boundary between public and private, worldly and sacred. Protective crystals, particularly black tourmaline, obsidian, and amethyst, are believed to absorb or deflect negative energy and protect from spirits. Whether the crystals themselves have inherent properties or serve as focal points for intention, many people feel safer carrying or placing them in their spaces. The practice connects to ancient beliefs about stones holding power. Breathe slowly as we remember the practice of regularly cleansing spaces with sound. Singing bowls, clapping, drumming, or even loud music is used to break up stagnant energy and clear unwanted presences. The vibration disrupts and refreshes the environment. Many traditions hold that sound, like light, has purifying properties. And as we conclude this section on protection, rest peacefully knowing that whether these methods work through supernatural mechanics or psychological comfort, they serve an important function. They give us agency in the face of fear, control in situations that feel uncontrollable. The ritual of protection itself, regardless of spiritual reality, provides genuine emotional benefit. You are safe here, in this moment, surrounded by centuries of accumulated wisdom about creating sanctuary. Let your breathing become soft and gentle as we turn to the human heart of this mystery, to the personal encounters that remain with people forever, changing how they understand reality. Crisis apparitions are encounters where someone sees or senses a loved one at the moment of that person's death, even across great distances. Studies have documented hundreds of these cases, where the witness had no normal way of knowing about the death. Whether telepathy, coincidence, or spirit contact, these experiences provide comfort, a final goodbye when physical presence is impossible. Relax completely as we consider deathbed visions, where dying people report seeing deceased loved ones who have come to guide them. Healthcare workers across cultures report patients suddenly becoming lucid, looking toward a corner of the room, smiling, and speaking to invisible visitors. These experiences often bring peace to the dying person and comfort to families. Whether hallucination or genuine contact, they serve a profound purpose. Shared death experiences occur when someone present at a death experiences elements of the dying person's transition. They might see the room transform, feel out of body, or experience a life review alongside the dying person. These shared experiences, documented by researchers, suggest consciousness might be more interconnected than we typically assume. Let yourself float as we learn about sensed presence, the feeling that someone is in the room even when you're alone. This experience is universal across cultures and can be unsettling or comforting depending on context. Some people report feeling a deceased loved one's presence regularly, like a warm companionship. Others experience it as creepy and intrusive. The same phenomenon, vastly different emotional responses. Precognitive dreams about deceased loved ones, where they appear to deliver messages or warnings, are commonly reported. Sometimes these dreams precede the discovery of the person's death, acting as a preparation. Other times they come later, providing guidance or comfort. Whether these represent genuine contact or the subconscious processing grief and providing needed messages, they feel significant to the dreamer. Close your eyes softly as we remember childhood encounters. Many children report seeing or talking to deceased relatives they never met, sometimes providing specific details they couldn't have known. Parents report their children describing conversations with their deceased grandparents with accurate details about personality or events. While imagination and suggestion are possible explanations, some cases remain startling. The phenomenon of feeling watched in allegedly haunted locations is nearly universal among visitors. The sensation of unseen eyes raises stress hormones and heightens awareness. Whether this stems from subtle environmental cues processed subconsciously, anxiety creating hypervigilance, or genuine spiritual presence, the experience is viscerally real and often overwhelming. Relax your muscles as we consider photographs that capture unexpected images. Before digital photography made anomalies common, certain photographs seemed to show figures that weren't visible during shooting. These images, whether showing a translucent person, an unexpected face in a window, or an inexplicable mist, become treasured or frightening, depending on context and interpretation. Synchronicities related to deceased loved ones, where meaningful coincidences occur around significant dates or during moments of grief, provide comfort to many. A favorite song playing unexpectedly, finding a special object, or an animal appearing at a poignant moment, these synchronicities feel like messages. Whether actual communication or the bereaved mind seeking and finding meaning, they provide solace. Let your breathing deepen as we explore haunted object experiences. People report that certain objects seem to carry negative energy or cause disturbances. Whether cursed dolls, antique furniture, or inherited jewelry, these items become focal points for unsettling experiences. Removing the object reportedly ends the activity, suggesting either the object serves as an anchor for spirits or holds psychological associations that trigger experiences. The experience of time anomalies in allegedly haunted locations, where people lose track of time or feel time moving differently, is frequently reported. Minutes feel like hours or hours pass in what seems like minutes. Whether this stems from dissociative states triggered by fear, environmental factors affecting perception, or the location somehow existing outside normal time, the experience is disorienting. Phantom smells associated with deceased loved ones, their signature perfume, cigarette smoke, or cooking, appear when no physical source exists. These olfactory experiences feel like visits, brief moments where the person's essence returns. While neurological explanations exist, including grief-triggering memory pathways, the comfort these experiences bring is undeniable. Breathe slowly as we consider electronic disturbances around the time of death or during grief. Lights flickering, televisions turning on, phones calling from disconnected numbers, these technological anomalies are widely reported. Whether spirits manipulate electronics, grief heightens awareness of normal glitches, or electromagnetic fluctuations from stress affect nearby devices, the timing feels meaningful. Objects moving or appearing in unexpected places, particularly items associated with the deceased, are common reports. Keys showing up where they couldn't be, books falling open to significant pages, or finding lost objects in impossible locations. These small mysteries, whether coincidence amplified by grief or genuine signs, provide connection to those who have passed. And as we complete this section, rest knowing that personal experiences, regardless of their ultimate explanation, are profound and valid. They shape how we understand death, love, and the persistence of connection. Whether you've had such experiences or wonder if you ever will, they remind us that the boundary between presence and absence is permeable, malleable, and deeply personal. Let yourself sink into complete relaxation as we explore not the fear of ghosts, but the comfort they bring, the way belief in spirits can heal the ache of loss. Continuing Bond's theory in grief psychology recognizes that maintaining connection with deceased loved ones is healthy and normal. Rather than letting go, many people maintain ongoing relationships with the dead through memory, ritual, and yes, through experiences they interpret as contact. This connection provides comfort and continuity, keeping love alive across the boundary of death. Relax deeply as we consider that belief in an afterlife, regardless of its objective truth, correlates with better mental health outcomes after loss. Those who believe their loved ones continue to exist in some form often experience less complicated grief. The possibility of reunion, of love persisting, provides hope and reduces the finality that makes loss feel unbearable. Memorial rituals across cultures, from lighting candles to visiting graves to celebrating birthdays of the deceased, maintain presence. These practices aren't about denial but about integration, keeping the dead as part of the family constellation. Ghost beliefs often support these practices, providing a framework where the dead are honored guests rather than departed strangers. Let your breathing become peaceful as we learn about the Japanese tradition of Mizuko-kyu, ceremonies for miscarried, aborted, or stillborn children. Families create small statues representing these souls, caring for them as they would living children. This practice acknowledges grief that might otherwise go unrecognized and provides a way to parent the child who never was, through ritual care of their spirit. The Victorian practice of spiritualism, while often fraudulent, met genuine emotional needs. In an era of high mortality rates and devastating epidemics, seances provided grieving people with hope of contact. Even today, mediums and psychics serve this function for many, offering messages, closure, or simply the comfort of believing their loved one still exists somewhere. Close your eyes gently as we remember that ghost stories themselves serve psychological functions. They allow us to rehearse dealing with death and the unknown. They provide catharsis for fears about mortality. They affirm that love might be stronger than death, that bonds might persist. Even frightening ghost stories serve a purpose, giving shape to existential anxieties. Ancestor veneration in many Asian cultures treats the dead as active family members. Regular offerings, consultation in decisions, and including them in celebrations maintains relationship. In this framework, ghosts aren't scary but beloved, grandparents and great-grandparents who continue to care for their descendants. Death changes the relationship but doesn't end it. Relax your whole body as we consider how believing in protective spirits provides a sense of safety. Guardian angels, ancestor spirits, or deceased loved ones watching over us can reduce anxiety and provide comfort during difficult times. Whether these protectors exist objectively or psychologically, the feeling of being watched over by benevolent forces supports resilience. The concept of unfinished business, while sometimes dramatized in ghost stories, acknowledges real psychological truths about death. When someone dies suddenly or when conflicts remain unresolved, survivors struggle with guilt and regret. Believing the deceased might return to resolve these issues, or that we might communicate with them to find peace, provides a path to healing. Let yourself drift as we learn about post-death growth, where people report positive changes after losing loved ones. They reorder priorities, deepen relationships, find meaning and purpose. Encounters with or beliefs about the deceased often catalyze this growth, as they interpret experiences as messages encouraging them to live more fully. The dead become teachers and motivators. Dreams of the deceased are among the most common and meaningful experiences of grief. Unlike typical dreams, these visitation dreams feel different, more vivid and emotionally significant. People wake feeling they truly spent time with their loved one. Whether these are gifts from the departed or gifts from our own psyche, they provide comfort, guidance, and continued connection. Breathe slowly as we consider that many near-death experiences include encounters with deceased loved ones. Whether these experiences represent actual glimpses of an afterlife or the brain's way of providing comfort during trauma, they often transform how people view death. Fear dissipates, replaced by curiosity or even anticipation of reunion. The practice of talking to the deceased, whether at graves, through prayer, or in private moments, maintains relationship. This isn't considered pathological but a healthy way to process grief and preserve bonds. Feeling that the deceased hears and perhaps responds, through signs or inner knowledge, provides ongoing support. Let your breathing deepen as we remember that legacy, the way we carry forward the values, lessons, and love of those who died, is itself a form of continued presence. Every time you do something your grandmother taught you, tell a story your father loved, or live by principles your mentor shared, they exist through you. This psychological immortality is undeniable. And as we complete this comforting section, rest in the understanding that whether spirits exist independently or live only in hearts and memories, their presence is real. Love doesn't end. Connection persists. Memory preserves. Whether you interpret experiences as supernatural contact or natural grief processes, both lead to the same truth: those we love remain with us, changed in form but not in significance. Rest peacefully now. Breathe softly now as we approach the end of our journey, acknowledging that after all the investigation, all the theories, all the experiences, mystery endures like stars in an endless sky. The Myrtle's plantation mirror, which allegedly contains the spirits of a murdered woman and her children, has been photographed countless times. Some images show handprints, faces, or figures that weren't visible when the photo was taken. Whether film anomalies, pareidolia, or genuine captured spirits, the mirror remains one of paranormal investigation's most documented objects. Let yourself relax as we consider the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall, photographed in 1936 by Captain Provind and Indrashira. This photograph, published in Country Life magazine, shows a translucent figure descending a staircase. Despite extensive analysis, no evidence of fraud was found. Whether ghost, double exposure, or unknown photographic phenomenon, it remains one of the most famous alleged ghost photographs. The SS Watertown Faces, photographed in 1924, showed the faces of two crew members who had died days earlier, visible in the waves beside the ship. Multiple witnesses saw these faces for several days, and a photographer captured them on film. The negative was analyzed and showed no evidence of tampering. The phenomenon stopped after the ship was blessed, deepening the mystery. Sink into your pillow as we learn about the Enfield poltergeist case of 1977 to 1978, investigated by Maurice Gross and documented by the Daily Mirror. Furniture moved on its own, knockings communicated intelligently, and one girl apparently levitated while sleeping. While some evidence suggested child trickery, other phenomena had no clear explanation. The case remains hotly debated. The Resurrection Mary legend of Chicago tells of a hitchhiker in a white dress seen along Archer Avenue. Multiple witnesses over decades report picking her up, and she disappears from moving vehicles near Resurrection Cemetery. Some reports include the same physical description spanning years. Whether urban legend or genuine spirit, the consistency is striking. Close your eyes gently as we remember the Amityville horror, where the Lutz family reported terrifying experiences in their Long Island home. While later investigation revealed exaggeration and financial motivation, the original reports, police response, and priest's account created genuine mystery. Separating fact from embellishment decades later proves nearly impossible. The Mackenzie poltergeist of Greyfriars Kirkyard in Edinburgh has apparently attacked hundreds of visitors since 1998. People report scratches, bruises, and the sensation of being pushed or grabbed in the Black Mausoleum. The concentration of reports from a specific location, witnessed by skeptics and believers alike, challenges easy explanation. Relax deeply as we consider the Flannan Isles Lighthouse mystery of 1900, where 3 lighthouse keepers vanished without trace. Later reports claim their ghosts haunt the lighthouse, and visitors report overwhelming feelings of dread. Whether the disappearance has a mundane explanation and ghost stories arose from the tragedy, or whether something genuinely paranormal occurred, remains uncertain. The Philip experiment of 1972 attempted to create a ghost through group concentration. Canadian researchers invented a fictional ghost named Philip Aylesford, complete with detailed backstory. During seances, the group experienced table movements, knocking, and apparent communication with Philip. This suggested either that they created a tulpa, a thought form brought into existence, or that expectation produces physical effects through psychokinesis. Let your breathing slow as we learn about the skull experiment, conducted in England from 1993 to 1998. A group claimed to communicate with spirits who produced physical phenomena, including lights, apports, and messages on sealed film. Scientists observed sessions but couldn't explain all occurrences. Skeptics noted lack of controlled conditions, while believers pointed to credible witnesses and photographic evidence. The Mako light in North Carolina, seen by thousands before mysteriously stopping in 1977, appeared nightly for over 100 years. The light, attributed to the ghost of a railroad worker killed in 1867, would approach observers before retreating. Scientific explanations including car headlights and swamp gas were proposed, but the light predated automobiles and didn't match typical natural phenomena patterns. Breathe gently as we consider the Devil's Footprints of Devon, England, in 1855. After snowfall, hoof-like prints appeared across 100 miles, seeming to pass through walls, over roofs, and across rivers. Multiple villages documented identical tracks. While theories including escaped kangaroos and hopping rodents were proposed, no explanation fully fits the evidence. Some suggested a supernatural source, others remain baffled. The phenomenon of reciprocal apparitions, where the living and the dead reportedly see each other simultaneously, challenges our understanding. In these rare cases, someone alive reports seeing a deceased person who appears solid and confused, while spirits supposedly report encountering the living in their realm. If true, these suggest not separate worlds but interpenetrating realities. Let yourself drift as we remember Borley Rectory, which burned down in 1939 but whose grounds still reportedly show phenomena. Investigations continue decades later, with some researchers claiming evidence while others find nothing. The location demonstrates how paranormal investigation can continue indefinitely, as belief and skepticism remain locked in eternal debate. And as we approach the end of this section, rest knowing that mysteries persist not because we lack intelligence or technology, but because some questions might not have simple answers. The universe is stranger than we imagine, perhaps stranger than we can imagine. Whether ghosts represent spirits, undiscovered physics, collective consciousness, or elaborate misunderstanding, they keep us humble before the vastness of what we don't know. Let your breathing become soft as moonlight, your body heavy as ancient stone, as we complete our journey with reflections on what all these stories, all these experiences, all these beliefs might mean. Throughout history, every human culture has developed beliefs about what happens after death. This universality suggests something profound about the human mind and perhaps about reality itself. We are the species that knows we die, and that knowledge shapes everything, including our need to believe death isn't the final ending. Relax completely as we consider that ghosts, whether real or imagined, serve as bridges. They connect past and present, allowing history to remain alive. They connect the living and the dead, providing continued relationship. They connect the known and unknown, representing mystery itself. In this way, ghosts are liminal figures, existing in thresholds, and humans have always found threshold spaces both dangerous and sacred. The fear of ghosts, nearly universal in childhood, might represent fear of death itself. We learn to be afraid of the dark, of being alone, of the unknown. Ghosts embody all these fears. Yet for many, fear transforms into curiosity, comfort, or acceptance. Perhaps our changing relationship with ghosts parallels our changing relationship with mortality. Let yourself sink as we remember that belief in ghosts has been dismissed as primitive, but it persists in modern, educated populations. This suggests such beliefs fill needs that rationality alone cannot address. The need for continuity, for meaning, for connection that transcends physical death. These are fundamental human needs, not signs of intellectual failure. The question, do ghosts exist, might be less important than what ghost beliefs reveal about human consciousness, love, and our relationship with mortality. Whether spirits walk among us or exist only in neural patterns, they're real in their effects. They comfort, frighten, fascinate, and connect us to something larger than individual existence. Close your eyes softly as we consider that every person who has ever lived has died. That's billions upon billions of people, an almost incomprehensible number. If even a tiny fraction of them somehow persist, the world might indeed be crowded with spirits. Or perhaps consciousness, like energy, transforms but never truly disappears, continuing in forms we don't yet understand. Science has explained much that was once attributed to spirits, disease, weather, dreams, mental illness. Yet ghost experiences persist even among the scientifically literate. This suggests either that ghosts represent genuine phenomena science hasn't yet explained, or that certain human experiences and needs transcend scientific explanation. Perhaps both are true. Relax your whole being as we remember that skeptics and believers both serve important roles. Skeptics demand evidence and prevent exploitation of the vulnerable. Believers maintain openness to mystery and honor experiences that feel profound. Neither position is entirely wrong or right. Reality likely includes elements that satisfy and frustrate both camps. The ethics of ghost hunting, telling ghost stories, and profiting from people's beliefs about spirits deserve consideration. Some ghost tourism exploits tragedy and treats the dead as entertainment. Yet sharing stories, investigating mysteries, and exploring beliefs can also be respectful, even reverent. The difference lies in intention and approach. Let your breathing deepen as we consider that whether you've experienced something you interpret as paranormal or never have, your experiences are valid. Those who have encountered what they believe are ghosts aren't necessarily deluded. Those who haven't aren't necessarily closed-minded. Reality might be vast enough to include both perspectives. The possibility that consciousness continues after death, in whatever form, is neither proven nor disproven. We have stories, experiences, beliefs, theories, but no definitive answer. This absence of certainty is itself meaningful. It keeps us humble, curious, and open. It allows space for hope without requiring denial of scientific understanding. Breathe slowly as we remember that love is often at the heart of ghost stories. People encounter deceased loved ones, feel their presence, receive what they interpret as signs. These experiences, whether supernatural or psychological, arise from love that persists beyond death. Love that refuses to accept absolute separation. Love that creates bridges across the chasm of loss. Every ghost story is ultimately about memory, about refusing to let the past completely fade. Buildings remember through their ghosts. Families remember through visitation experiences. Cultures remember through their spirit traditions. Whether memories become spirits or spirits become memories, both serve the same function: preservation of what matters against the erosion of time. Let yourself drift into the edge of sleep as we acknowledge that you, too, will one day be part of this mystery. Everyone listening to these words will eventually cross that threshold, will discover what, if anything, comes next. Perhaps you'll understand then whether ghosts are real. Perhaps you'll become one yourself, a gentle presence watching over those you loved, or perhaps you'll dissolve into the universe, your atoms recycling into new forms. And as we complete this journey of 100 facts, rest peacefully knowing this: whether ghosts walk among us, whether consciousness persists, whether love transcends death, one truth remains. You are here now, alive and breathing, part of this strange and beautiful universe. The mystery of what comes after enriches rather than diminishes this moment. Sleep now, dear listener. Rest in the comfort that the unknown remains unknown, that mystery persists, that wonder endures. The search for understanding continues. The questions remain. And you, having journeyed through these stories and facts, are part of the eternal human conversation about life, death, and what might lie beyond. May your dreams be peaceful, your sleep be deep, and if any spirits visit you tonight, may they bring only comfort, wisdom, and love. Sleep well, traveler between worlds. The ghosts, whether real or imagined, wish you only peace.